Hello everyone, welcome to AI Anytime channel. In this video, we are going to develop a Streamlit application that will help us generate AI news anchor. So basically, the news anchor will read the news, the latest news that will fetch from some news APIs, and we are going to use generative AI models to basically, create this entire workflow of generating basically video that will have a news anchor reading all the latest news based on your query. So you can see currently on my screen, it says AI News Anchor built with Midjourney, OpenAI, D-ID, Streamlit, and Love, right? So we're going to combine a few things in this video. And this video right now, in my capacity, is going to be a closed source based video, right? So you have to pay some bucks to basically build this kind of an application that where you can leverage this AI generated anchors. Basically they are images from Midjourney, Stable Diffusion or Runway Gen 2, blah blah blah, right? So you have this generative models that will generate the characters for you or the images for you, and then we'll use some kind of automation with APIs, and then we'll have some kind of news and the anchor will read for you. So if you see here, I have an entered image URL. This image that you see I have generated using Midjourney, and you can see a fetched news sample and the AI news anchor video.
Hello
Okay,
world,
so the,
I'm
the video you
Sophie,
can
your
see. So the news anchor Sophie, she's talking about some news that she will read basically the news. Okay. Now here we're going to combine a few things as I said. Okay. So I will try to keep it simple. The main agenda behind this video is to give you some idea and how you can execute this end to end probably. Okay, I might not cover everything in this video from scratch, but I will try to cover as much as possible in a short time frame. So let's get started. And as we said that we are going to basically develop this where the lady who sees an anchor, in this case a news anchor, going to read news. So our backbone is a news. Okay, so we need some latest news, and for that we are using this something called news API. So it gives you some free API endpoint hits. You can look at that. It's a very good documentation, very simple. Just use the request module in Python to basically get some news based on your query. You can see over here, passing some query equals to Bitcoin and then your API key. Okay, probably I will delete all of this after this video, so it doesn't matter for me. And you have a query called Bitcoin. And now suppose, for example, if you want to create an YouTube channel automatically, you can automate this entire workflow to create a YouTube channel where you will have somebody, a lady who is reading all of the latest generative AI based news. So in that case, your query will be nothing but generative AI. Now we need this news API. So what are the things that we need, guys? So you can see here, these are the things that we need currently. We need Midjourney, and you can replace Midjourney with Stable Diffusion, Runway Gen 2, or any other generative models that will help you generate a unique character or unique anchor in your case, right? For example, or you want to have a lady for your advertisement, commercial, that can be any other use cases as well. And then we need an AI news API. I have that AI news API. Then we need, then also you can also use OpenAI basically to automate the script process where you are getting some news from that API, how you can add intro and outro in the end and combine and get some kind of summary out of it. Depends, how do you want to automate that. And then I'm using a service called DID, Digital Identity Video, where that helps you create this kind of videos. On here you can see, right? They have a very good developer hub, very detailed documentation. You can see this is what I'm working on currently, create a talk. And I will cover that how you can basically create yourself. You don't have to worry about it. I will give you all the code, that has been used in this tutorial video. Now, and I have pushed this image on like an online image uploader where you can share your stock images or any other images which is publicly available. And the reason is because DID, you can see here I am on DID. You can also create for some credits, I think 5 credits in free or something like that. Now in create a talk, DID accepts an image URL as an input, and that's why I have uploaded this on image BB. You can see it over here. Now, if you want to basically use Midjourney in this case. You can use Midjourney. And if you don't know how to basically use Midjourney, I have a couple of videos on Midjourney, months ago, right? No, like Midjourney, there are thousands of YouTube videos, and I think for Anchor also there will be videos, guys. Okay, depends which channel you are watching, right? And if you don't know how to use Midjourney, basically they have a Discord server. So you come on their Discord server, and over here you can see you have to log in. They don't give free access now, I guess. Okay, so you have to spend $10 bucks or something like that per month for some 200 images, 200 odd images. Now they have a few endpoints. So here in that you have to write slash imagine. So imagining your creativity, and here you can write something like, you know, uh, a lady anchor named Sophie. Like some prompt example. Beautiful and upper body news anchor, something like that. Highly detailed, high quality portrait mode, looking straight at the camera. I need a frontal facing image straight at the camera. I'm just showing you a few steps, by the way. Looking straight at the camera, intricate. You can sort at the Nikon camera and newsroom background. You can see I'm making a prompt here on Midjourney. The better prompt you make, better images you will get, by the way. And here I'm going to use version 5.1 for this. And once I hit enter, you can see it will start generating some images for you. So I already have that image in this case. You can see it over here. We have this beautiful lady over here. Her name is Sophie. I have named her Sophie, and she is our news anchor. Okay, and so once you get this from Midjourney, maybe if you are using stable diffusion, programmatically you can also automate that process, because Midjourney kind of don't provide you an official API, but there are some other third party who provides you Midjourney APIs. I don't know how secure they are, by the way. But you can also automate this image generation process at the news anchor generation endpoint, the workflow. Now you see here we got our lady, and you can look at her, right? She looks good, and all of them looks good, by the way, and you can use any of them for your anchor generation. Now if you want to, for example, if you like the probably maybe the second one, and so you can click on U2 upscale 2. So when you click on upscale 2, you will get that particular image over here. You can see I got this image. Now you can also do zoom out 2x and zoom out 1.5x. If you want to perform the zoom out effects on these images, Midjourney will also do it for you. Now what you can do, you can click on this, and once you do that, you can just do right click, save image, download, wherever you want to do, save it, and then upload here on ImageBB. As simple as that. So once you have done that, let's start writing some code here, guys. So you can see currently I am in this folder. It's called Generative AI Anchor, and I have a requirements txt. These are the requirements that you need. You need requests module to interact with the API endpoints. Then we need OpenAI probably. I will not use OpenAI to keep it simple and short, but I will explain how you can use it. You can ignore LangChain in this video, python.env and Streamlit. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a file called Streamlit app. So let me just do that. Streamlit underscore app.py. This is going to be a main file here. Now I will use couple of gist just to save some time, as I'm not going to write all of the code, otherwise it will be too big of a video. So let's go to GitHub. My gist, you can see I have a couple of gist that I will use it. So the first thing is news video.py. So let's come over here, and in this let's create a file called news underscore video.py, and the other gist is going to be news underscore api.py. So let's do that. So let me come over here, news underscore api.py. Fantastic. Now let's go inside this gist, guys, and see what we are getting. So if you come here, let me just click on raw. I'll do a control A, control C, and I will come back and I'll put it over here. So basically what I have done before, once I created this application, let me do an alt G to show you. I have converted this completely in classes. the mod in a very modular format. So you can use it when I give you the code, you can use it in your application the way you want, basically. You can call these classes wherever you want. You don't have to put everything in a single Python file. Now, what we are doing here, if you see, we have a class called NewsAPI that has couple of functions. It has an init function that takes care of your API keys, and then it has a function called get news that connects with this newsapi.org version 2, and we are getting this from here. You can see it over here, news version 2. This is the endpoint that we are hitting, in our Python file over here. We are giving the query that we'll take from the Streamlit app. You can see the app over here. This is going to be our query here. You can see OpenAI in this case. Now, what we're also doing is we're also giving a from it's a time period, because we need the latest news. So today is 17th of September, right? Now it's 18th, by the way. So I have taken a last 1 or 2 days over here because I need the latest news. Then I'm sorting it by popularity, and I only need the number of news. That we also have a slider over here, how many basically number of news you need. So minimum is 1, maximum is 5, default it's by 3. So you can see it over here. That's the value we are getting, and then we have our API key. That's it. After that, we are you know in we are basically interacting with the API endpoint using the request module to get the URL, etc., and then parsing the output over there. You can see we are getting news descriptions, and we're also getting, so this basically returns a list, and we are parsing it to get only the description of it. It has title, body, description, content. We only need the description, but you can see the output completely when you use this class. And then we have something called get news string, self query number of news. You can see in this case we have a description string over here. So this is our news api.py file. This gives you basically everything on the news part. This will help us get the news. Now, once you have this news and you already have that image generated by Midjourney, we combined this both, the news and the Midjourney image thingy, and we get an output, a generated output by D-ID. So let's do that. Let's see the code for that. So for that, what I'm going to do, let's go back on the gist here and go back to this particular gist called newsvideo.py, and here I'm going to go inside raw, and I'll just do a control A and control C. I will explain what's happening here as well. Now if you click here, this we are getting it from the documentation, and I have made a few changes because this is a little tricky, but I have made a hell lot of change over here. So you can see these are the short examples which is given. You can see the input which says photo URL. So our photo is nothing but the image that we have generated from Midjourney, and we have put it over here. You can see the lady over here. This is our image, basically image path, and this is what we are giving here. So if you come, it says photo URL plus text. This text is nothing but this text will come from this particular function called get news descriptions, either the string or the list, anything that we'll see what we are using in the main Streamlit file. And that's the code I'm going to write, by the way. Now, what we are doing here, guys, we have a video generator class that has a couple of functions. One is again the init function that takes care of the API keys. And then we have a generate video class that takes of your input text and the source URL. The source URL is nothing but the image URL from imagebb.com. Now input text is coming from that news API. We are hitting this URL. You can see this is the URL on D-ID. Then we are creating a payload which is a little bigger, when you look at the first time. We are using the Microsoft type. For audio, you can also use 11 labs. If you want to use custom voice, you want to clone, for example, Amitabh Bachchan's voice, or you want to clone, Ronaldo's or Messi's voice, you can also do that using 11 labs. Okay, if you want that, because D-ID has integration with 11 labs. If you see in the left hand side, text to speech providers, they have 11 labs voices as well. So you can also integrate with 11 labs voices. Now here we have a Microsoft type, and then I'm using a neural voice of a lady called Jenny, which is in English and based out of the United States. That's what I'm using in the voice ID. Then I have couple of other parameters like input text. Then I have a configuration, how fluent. So I'm not having a fluent voice like too fast, it's like false. If you make it true, it will be extremely fast in that case. Then I have a source URL, and then I have a header that takes your bearer. So this bearer tokens will come from your dashboard, okay, on D-ID. That's a little tricky, so you have to put a bearer in env file. So I'm not going to show that env. By the way, it has your D-ID API keys and News API keys. You can also put your OpenAI API keys. Now I have created that payload and I'm sending that. I'm making a post request, because we have to upload that particular image. So we're making a post request in this case, and we are saying, okay, take our URL, take our payload, and take our headers. Header contains basically the type content and the bearer token. Now, once we have that, we are basically, getting that response.txt text from DID back. And then we are doing some parsing, getting the talk ID. It basically gives you the talk ID. And then we again send back the talk UID, sorry, talk ID, and then we get the video response over here. You can see once we get the video response, we basically get a video URL and return the video URL. Now, so this two file newsapi.py, newsapi.py gives you the latest news based on your query and some other parameters, and newsvideo.py gives you the generated video based on your input text, which is the news, and the AI anchor image from Midjourney. Now you can also use the local image, by the way, by uploading it if you want to use your own face or something like that. Okay. Now we are done with this. So now what we have to do, we have to start writing some code for the interface. So let's do that. So the first thing that I'm going to do, import Streamlit as HT. So let's do that. And the next is import request. So let me just do import request. And what else? Now we need import OS, by the way. We need import OS from .env import load.env, to get the basically all the env thing is there. Okay, now what I'm going to do is couple of things like, from news underscore video, import what are the class name. Let's go inside news video.py, and here I'm going to see that my class is video generator. So let's do that. So class video generator. Now the other file is news API. So let's do that. So in this case, I'm going to do import, and what's the class name of that? Okay, it's news API. So let's also do that. So news API. Now we are okay with this, guys. Now we are okay with the imports. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have load.env quickly, and then we have to set up all the API keys. So the first thing is, let's call it news underscore API key, and in this case I'm going to do os.getenv. So let's do that. And in this os.getenv, you can see news API key, which is, by the way, this is nothing but whatever you have written in your env file, and make sure that the terminologies are right, otherwise you might get an error. Okay, news API key. Now I have to initiate that client, that class. If you see on the APIs, I have to initiate this particularly. So let's do that. So for that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a client called news client, and in news client I'm going to use this news API, and my API key is nothing but news API key. So this is perfectly fine. Now we are done with this news client. So similarly, we have to do for video API key. So let's do that. So video API key, and then os.getenv. And this is not my video API. This is my bearer token, by the way. So I know that I have saved it as bearer token. So I'm going to make this change, bearer token. So let's do that. Bearer token. Fantastic. Now we have this video API key done, and then we have to initiate that class as well through this API. So video generator and video generator, fantastic. Now we have set our credentials and all. Now we can use all of our code logic here. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first create a, let's set the page configuration. So we are going to have a Streamlit application, and inside this I'm going to call this layout equals wide. I need a wide layout, as you can see on the screen. And after wide layout, if you come over here, you'll see that what I'm talking. This is basically a wide layout. If you want to have a container, you can also do that, but I need a bigger layout, in that case. Now, once you set the layout equals wide, what you can also do, you can also do page, title icons, whatever. Streamlit is very easy, right? Page title. Let's call this AI news anchor, something like that. Okay. AI news anchor. We are okay with this now. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to have couple of titles. So let me just do st.title, and my title is nothing but going to be AI news, anchor. Okay, this is what I'm going to call AI news anchor, and I'm going to have a markdown here. So st.markdown, and in this markdown, let's have a style. So let's do that style, and in this style, I'm gonna have an h1 tag that will basically hold my color, and it's not red, let's keep orange for now. So color, and I'm gonna call this orange. So I'm going to have an orange color here. This is going to be that, and let's have a text align here. So text hyphen align, and I'm going to have this as center. So text align center, and then what we're gonna do next here is this is okay. Now we also need to do a couple of things here. So unsafe allow, because we're gonna use a markdown, which we have to make it true. Now we are okay with this title thingy. We can also have couple of more thing like expander and all if you want. And here I want to write not title, probably maybe let's call it subheader. So in subheader, and in this subheader what I'm gonna do is not AI news anchor. Let's call this built using Midjourney, and then we have news API, D-ID. For now, let's keep Streamlit, and whatever. We need that emoji, by the way. I'll put that emoji later. Or let me see. I'll just get it from if that emoji works. I don't know if I copy this, will it work? Okay, fine. So this works. Now this should not be orange. So let's use pink here. The color combination pink, and center and all is fine. Now this makes sense for us, and let's don't use H1, otherwise it will be very same font size, for both of it. S3. Now we are done with this, and what we have to do is let's have an input for image URL. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have an input URL here, and let's have this input URL as ht.text input, because we'll have a single word keyword or something like that. So we don't need a text area in this. ht.text input, and I'm going to call this enter an image URL, and that's it. And let's keep this as this is. Okay, nothing inside it, input URL, and then have a query. Excuse me, my query is like, what's going to be your query? Okay, a query is again a text input, so I'm just going to copy this. Maybe you can also give key or something like that. Okay, unique identifier, actually your text input. Let's call this query, enter query keywords. Okay, that you'll put that to get the news, enter query. Now we have query input URL. See there, guys, there have been a lot of AI anchors that people has created. It's easy to create AI anchors, but I want to do some kind of automation end to end. Probably this is not the complete automation that I want to do, but maybe you can do that after after getting some inspiration from this. If you haven't thought of something like this so far, most of you would have thought already. I'm sure on that. But if some of you who wants to create something like this, please go ahead and extend this further. You can completely automate this with. You can also create a YouTube channel that will basically, I think Siraj has done that, right? Siraj Rawal in one of his videos, where he has created a something like YouTube channel or something using this similar workflow. You can also do that, right? Completely with programs, programmatically, not by going on dashboard and doing copy paste and all. Programmatically, how you can automate this, because this is going to be basically reduce the burden and your efforts to do that. Now we have the query here. You can see ht.text input, enter your query. Let's have a number slider here for news. So num news, and in this I'm going to have a slider, ht.slider, and inside this I'm going to call a label here, so that is number of news, and then inside this I'm going to have a minimum value. So let's call this mean value, and this mean value is 1, and then max value is 5, and my value should be, let's have value equals to 3. So this num news is perfectly fine. And what I'm going to do next is, so now we are done with num news, and also now let's have a button called if ht.button, and we can call this generate. So generate your video from below piece of code, basically if htdoc button generate. And now let's do some validation. So if input URL, so if input URL, let's call this, so if input URL dot strip, I hope I'm doing it right. If input URL dot strip and there's value in query dot strip as well. Query dot strip and num news, which is a slider, is not none and num news greater than probably greater than 0. For now, let's see that. And I want to make this change. I'm getting confused which input URL. It seems like query, so let's call it image URL. So I'm not confused with the terminology. Change this input URL to image URL as well. Now here we are okay with this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create 3 columns as we have seen earlier when I was demoing it. So column 1 ht.columns give equal weightage to all of this. So I just put a list, put 1111 to give equal weightage to all of these 3 columns. By default, it's again 1111 if you don't give it. Now call 1, call 2, 3. Now with call 1. So guys, you can see it's 2 in midnight here. So I'm sorry I'm going a little fast, but I hope you can understand. So with call 1, uh, let's have an ht.info and let's call this as your AI news anchor. Your AI news anchor called Sophie. So let's call this Sophie. Now I named her Sophie. You can have name him or her anything you want, depending on what you are using. Sophie, and in below I'm going to have an ht.image, and in this I'm going to basically pass my image URL that I have uploaded on image bb. So let's do image URL, and after doing image URL here we're going to pass a caption. So let's do that. So caption is nothing but something like anchor image, and I'm going to completely use the column width. So let's call this true, a feature of Streamlit. Okay, now we are okay with column 2. Now let's come to with column 2, column 1 by the way. Now in column 2, let's have a description list, because now we are going to utilize column 2 for our news thingy. So in column 2 description list, I'm going to call this news client. Hopefully news client that we have here in line number 11. So this makes sense. So news client dot get news description. This is how it should work. Get news description, and here I'm going to pass my query. So query and then num of news. Okay, so num news. Okay, so you can also do num news equals to num news. It's the same thing, if you are getting confused. Now description list is done. So let's have a ht.success thingy here, the status message in Streamlit, and here I'm going to say your fetched news or something like that. Okay, your fetched news or something, and then just going to write ht.write basically, and here I'm going to write the description list, and you can see that we have this description list now that we are going to use, and this is what we need here. So this makes sense now. So we have this description list. So let's now do one thing. Let's start with column 3. Okay, so or probably what we can also do is uh, so we need to basically concatenate something. So I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is where I wanted to use probably open AI, and maybe it's a challenge to you if you are, if you are liking the video so far, maybe you can extend this further. What you have to do in that case, you can look at this, you can ignore this prompt. By the way, this prompt is something that I used in Midjourney to generate Sophie, our news anchor. I will give you this on GitHub if you don't know how to prompt on Midjourney. Now you can read this. It says, "Hello world, I am Sophie, your AI news anchor, bringing you the latest updates for." This is your query, and here are the news for the news, and that's all for today. So what you can do here is you can automate this using chat gpt, so open AI apis or azure open AI API. So you can use GPT 3.5 or 4 to basically take the news and use some kind of chain also if you want to use in langchain to summarize it. Okay, so you get a better output as a news, and then you have a very beautiful output, and you give it to DID to basically generate the video. So basically, you can use this anchor.txt. So to save some time, and just to give you some idea here, I'm going to use a very, you know weird way of doing it. So very Pythonic way of doing. Okay, so I'm going to create a variable called numbered paragraphs. So let me just do that. Numbered paragraphs. And here I'm going to basically concatenate. So let's do that. So line break and then dot join. I'm going to join this with my description list, and I'll show you what I'm talking. So now let's first join this. So I'm going to join this. So let's use a join, and inside this join I'm going to have a list, and then inside this list let's have an I plus 1 for now. We will add I plus 1, and then we can do a dot paragraph. So let's have a paragraph, and I hope I'm doing it right. For I in, not I in, for I and paragraph in enumerate. So we have a description list. So I think this is right. So enumerate and then write the description list and then close this. And I think this is right. Okay, let me do an Alt G. And this looks okay. Now we have a numbered paragraphs, and we'll use the number paragraphs where I'll show you. I hope the logic is right. Now let's first do an ht.write and see what we are getting here in ht.write, and let's use this numbered paragraphs. So if you have, suppose for example, 3 4 different news items, so I want to give it 1 2 3 4, numbered the paragraphs here 1 2 3 4, and that's why we're using this particular logic, that we have used a particular logic. I don't know if it's correct. Let's see if it throws any error. Now this is right. So we are done with this column 2. Now with column 3, here, and that's where I'm going to use my final text. Okay, so let's call this final text, and here I'm going to use, so let's first create the stock string, and here I want to write probably hello world, I am Sophie or something like that. Okay, so let me just copy this entire thingy and come back in Streamlit and put it over here, enter and paste, and I'm going to do Alt G, and let me just also basically bring this over here and just do hit enter to make it a little, clean code. Okay, so here I'm going to hello world, I am Sophie, your AI news anchor, bringing you to the latest updates for query. And here are the news for you. And this news should not be news now, because now it's going to be numbered paragraphs. So let's do that. So numbered paragraphs. And that's all for today. Stay tuned for more news. Thank you. So we are now done with this part. And now we're going to just do video URL. Now let's use the video generator class from D-ID. Once we have everything ready, now we have the input image ready, and now we have the final news ready. We combine them both and give it to video generator class in D-ID, and then we get the our news anchor reading that particular news. That's what we're expecting now. So here I'm going to do video underscore generator. This is our probably the variable over here, and here I'm going to use that particular generate video, let's see. Okay, see, you can see it over here, the function here, the generate video function, and inside this I'm going to pass my final text and my image URL. As simple as that. That's what happens when you use classes in Python, guys. It makes your task very easy, to basically program. Now video URL. Now here I'm going to do, let's use, warning or something. I don't know why I am using warnings or something like that. Let's do that. Maybe for the color combination. I got it. Okay, so here I have used st.info, here I have used st.success, and here I'm using st.warning, because what it does, on a dark theme you have yellow, gray and green combination. That looks good, by the way, but you can ignore it. Here I'm going to write AI news anchor video. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just do st.video and just going to basically use video URL. That's it. Okay guys, and we are done with our code here. Now here you can just write else, couple of thingy here, else, hope else, and in this else I'm gonna write, I hope my indentation are right. Okay, else, and just do write st.write failed to fetch, failed to fetch news data. please check your query and API key, something like that. We should a message. Now we are done with our app, guys. Here you can see this is what we have created. Let me explain you quickly because I think we are over 30 minutes. I wanted to keep it around 30 minutes, but it's okay. It will go up to 40, I think now. So we have, imported all the libraries, and you can see this file that we have created, newsvideo.py and newsapi.py. So in newsapi, we are writing all the logics to get the news out of a news API website through an API endpoint. And in the news video, we are giving two things as an input text, which is your news, and the source URL, which is nothing but the lady Sophie in our case that we have generated using Midjourney. And and we are using over here, we are initiating all the basically all the classes, and then we have couple of Streamlit thingy for decorations, and then we have input query, your image URL, then number of news, a slider, you can put many other things if you want. And then we have ht.button generate, and we are having some validation check if there's a value inside it. If there's no value, the white space or something like that, then it will not get executed. Okay, it will throw an error. And then we have three columns, equal distributions of layout, the width. And then with column one, we are saying, okay, here our images, show it on screen so people will like Sophie, by the way. And then with column two, we have get news descriptions, and the number of news, blah blah blah. And with column 3, concatenating couple of things and then giving it to video URL, the generate video functions inside that news video.py file, and you're getting it from DID. That's it. Now let's run this code, guys. Okay, we are going to let's start run this and see if we are getting the response. So to run this, we have, I think it's already running, guys. Let's see if it throws any error or something like that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to copy this already handy or something. Let's see. Okay, and I'm just going to hit enter, and you can see now we have AI news anchor built with Midjourney, OpenAI, D-ID, whatever. Okay, and enter image URL. Here I'm going to open, like paste my image URL, and I'm going to use a word called, let's for example, let's use OpenAI, and we'll see what's happening with OpenAI or something. And I'm going to use, let's have a default 3 and see what 3 news we get from this thingy here. Okay, news API. Okay, and we'll try to see what's happening behind the scene. So I'm expecting that we get some output from DID, and if it's, I don't know if how successful we will be. I don't know because I'm doing it together. So let's see that once you click on generate. Now, once we click on generate, you can see that we have your AI news anchor Sophie, your face news, and you can see something is running over here. So let's give it some time. This will take some time because it has to connect with you are making a post request to the DID endpoints, and then it has some latencies challenges, but you can see it's pretty fast. By the way, we got our AI news anchor that will read. She will read all of our news. So what we have done here, we have fished our news. Uh, Probably not the, maybe you can also look at the body content. I'm only getting at the description, which is not complete, but this gives you idea, right? You can extend this further. You can see your first new thoughts on Clark's three laws and their relation to AI, a guidance language for controlling large language models, GitHub, like guidance AI. They're putting some guardrails and all, something like that. Okay, learn everything you need to know about Google's bot language model and how it works by reading this guide. So you can see we have numbered paragraphs. We are getting this in paragraphs. It depends. How do you want to present this on your UI? You can build a React app or something like that. You want to put it on product hunt or something. Create something, guys. Put it on product hunt. Reach out to investors. Reach out to India Today, G News, CNN, wherever you want. Just tell them this is, hey, this is what I have created. Can you look at my ideas and work with me? Or something like that. You have to do something in this moment that we have of generative AI, the best moment to work. Trust me, if you are a technical guy. Now, you can see we have your AI news anchor Sophie over here. She's beautiful, isn't she? And then we have your face news, and then AI news anchor video. Let's see, I probably doubt that the quality will be good because it has some hyphens, some slashes, and we'll see what kind of. You can also download this. Let me first click on download. Now, once you download this, you can see it over here that it downloads. It's downloading. It's around 9 MB. And now there are few things that I can also help you understand. You might ask that, hey, the this image is quite big and the video, so you can also control that from, if I show you quickly, where is the config? Now, if you come on the config object, you can see something called face object. Now, in the face object, you can increase the value, the top left, overlap, face. You can increase this value, the size of the square side and top left of the face to make it, a little bigger and exactly the same. Also, you can do that. You can also remove the logo. You can put your logo as well. I think by default, it's the default logo. Let me show you where that logo part is. How can I quickly show you? I don't know. Um, config object, you can see it over here, the logo. Now if you click on the logo, it says http url to an rgb jpg png image. A default logo is otherwise, so default logo of did is there. I am not probably doing it, but I explained you that how you can do it. You have to make the changes. Once you do the changes here, it will reflect over here, and you can just take the code, copy paste it in your
Hello
IDE and run
world,
it.
I'm
Now let's
Sophie, your AI
open
news
this video
anchor,
here.
bringing you the latest updates for
Look at the effects, guys. Look at the movements. It has some kind of expressions. The lips moves, the expressions are on point. Like, we had earlier when we were using GANs a few years back, of course the accuracy were not there, but now we are seeing the performances of all these generative models coming in, or different algorithms working in backend.
OpenAI.
Looks fantastic, by the way.
Here are the
And
news
let's
for
see,
you.
we will
1.
see
Thoughts
about the
on Clarke's
acronyms and
three
all.
laws and their relation to AI. 2. A guidance language for controlling large language models. GitHub Guidance AI/guidance, a guidance language for controlling large language models. 3. Learn everything you need to know about Google's BERT language model and how it works by reading this guide. That's all for today. Stay tuned for more news. Thank you.
Fantastic, right? So now you have this, you can create a YouTube channel, start putting shorts using this, right? My only agenda behind this is that you can automate this entire process. You can just see that, you know, we have used News API, we have used DID, we have created this with all of this automation. You can also extend this further. This is just the start. So I hope you like the video, and if you have any thoughts, comments, feedbacks, please let me know. All of the codes will be available, all of the files, the entire repository will be available on my GitHub repository. I'll give the link in description. You can take it, you can extend it further. Let me know if you build some cool applications out of it, on top of it. I'll be more than happy to, see that and help you build that as well. Any thoughts, feedbacks, comments, please let me know. Reach out to me through my social media channels available on YouTube banner and about channel. Okay, please like the video if you liked it, share the video with your friends and to peer, and also same goes for the channel as well. Thank you so much for watching, guys. See you in the next one.